Good morning, everybody. My name is Riple. I work at Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance. And today I have the pleasure of talking to Joachim Samuelsson, CEO of Crunchfish. How are you, Joachim?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. We just had a board meeting yesterday, and the board was quite excited about the progress we've made. So it feels good. So yeah, I feel good.
Great. And you had a report this morning, the quarterly report for the third quarter of 2020, and that's why we're talking today. And reading it, they get the impression that there's a lot going on in the company at the moment, and a lot of exciting opportunities. The biggest, possibly, is all the things that you have going in India. But I thought we'd work up to that and start off by talking about some of the other initiatives that you have going. And first of all, you have recently announced that you have made an initiative, you have made a patent even, for individual pricing of goods in grocery stores, so that customers can pick the older packets of food and thereby get a discount. Now, how is this going to work? I mean, what's your role in it? How will the customer even know that one pack is cheaper than the other one? Can you explain a little bit?
Yes, it's all about trying to reduce food wastage. It's one of the UN goals for sustainability. In 2030, we should reduce food scrapping with half, and that's in all in the logistic chain. It could be with consumers, but also in the stores. And in order to do that, I think the best way, if you can engage consumers, engage consumers in mass, and to do that, the best way, I believe, is to give consumers an incentive that because I think we most of us, I think we do check for the milk cartons which is the latest one. If any later is come up, I think people are typically picking that one. But I think milk, even on what is known as in Swedish best before date, even it's best before that date, but it's certainly not bad food even at that date. And so I think you could choose food and buy food at that, but you should probably be rewarded a discount. And the idea is to dynamically in the cash register itself, when the cashier is scanning that good, that discount could appear and be basically be becoming part of your receipt, and you as a consumer are getting that discount. That could be paid either by the grocery store themselves, but it could also be paid by the manufacturers. The manufacturers typically take responsibility quite often for food scrapping, and this could be a way for them, instead of having a system where they have to actually scrap food and quite a lot of food, they could rather than try to sell it at a discount through this sort of system. But it's all built on that. There is a machine readable code that where you can, for every carton, every package that the cash register can understand, say the date, and then you can apply rules for that. It's essentially a QR code. A QR code, instead of just that striped barcode, you have a QR code itself, and that is a machine readable code that could then trigger the cash register to give you a discount. But it can also happen in everybody, if you have a mobile phone with you, so when you stand there at the trying to choose, say, a milk carton, you can scan as well, and that could be a lookup, so you could actually be informed that, well, this milk carton will give you 3 krona. I think that behavior would be learned quite quickly, that you understand that you may not have to scan every milk to understand if it's 3 krona or 4 krona, but you would understand the system, and they could have signs in the stores as well. But it is possible for you with your mobile phone to simply scan the same QR code as the cashier is scanning, and get information about that incentive that is being awarded if you are picking an older package.
I see. And your particular input in this process, is it both in the end of scanning by the customer and also in the reading of the input from the Blipit terminal?
Well, it doesn't have to be Blipit here. This has nothing to do with Blipit actually, and we're not really into scanning either. But what we have, and that was announced, we was actually awarded a patent that we announced in June this year. I think we didn't actually talk about that, Alf, in our Q2 discussion, but that came in June. We put it on our website. But what has happened this quarter is that we have put one resource, sort of part-time, running around and discussing this with many players in the industry. How do you plan to solve this problem of food scrapping, and what do you do with your sustainability plans? And it has created a lot of excitement. There is sort of interest and for solving this, and what I believe we would be able to do is to help out in the basically the rules that when you, particularly in the cash register, that there needs to be a rule there that is being created, is being followed in order to understand what sort of discount that so that is sort of a piece of service that runs in the cash register and also can be accessed then by the mobile phone to understand how much discount it is. But after that, we will jack into existing infrastructure. This could be the clear-on system, which is a great clearinghouse for giving a consumer a discount. They use that with their paper coupons, but it could also, what they do is that they distribute money from the manufacturers to the merchants, because the merchants are typically paid for all these discount coupons. And in the same way, the clear-ons system could be used for this as well. Or alternatively, this is just done in the cash register itself, and then there are rule-based system in these cash registers as well that can be applied for if the merchant themselves is carrying this discount to the customer.
I see. Just before we move on, I just want to say to everybody that's listening that you can write your questions. There's a chat function at the bottom of your screen. So if you write a question, then we will read it out and Joachim will answer. Before we go on to India, I just have another question around your progress in Sweden and in the Blipit business. You write in the report you have one active self-service terminal in Stockholm. So I guess everybody who's listening want to try that out. So you have to tell us where this is.
Yes, it's coming. It's sort of. Sorry, what was your question again?
Where is the? You said that you have an active pilot checkout desk in Stockholm where you can go and try
Yes.
Blipit for yourself. Where is this?
It's at Direkten Sundbyberg.
Okay, now we'll all go there and try this. And is it correct that all you need to have is the Swish app in your phone, and you can go there and you're already up and running? Is that correct?
Yeah. I think we are already within. We are in Swish. Every sort of if you just have Swish on your phone, then this works for you as a consumer. And what is good here is that that any cash register that integrate with our Blipit service in that cash register, then it's just a plug and play. We just plug in our Blipit app terminal, and then all of a sudden we have connected sort of all merchants using that cash register system with consumers basically. So it's a plug and play for the merchant, and then you already have if you have Swish on your phone, you have to turn on Bluetooth as well. There is a switch there that you have to enable Swish to use Bluetooth because this is our bridge here with Blipit is sort of Bluetooth based. But then with that, then it should work quite swimmingly, as we say.
And have you had any feedback so far? Because I can imagine that a merchant who has tried this and see that suddenly all of the cash registers can accept mobile payments, I would assume that they would pick up on this very quickly if the
yeah, no, it's a positive feedback, and they like it, sort of. So yes, but as I said, I think we've been a bit unfortunate with the pandemic. You know, we had a delay for Clearon with their Wave cash register, but then it came with the first one we then got was Tixter, but you know, they do events, and when they had, I think they had many hockey arenas, and they had many, you know, 10, they were really keen here in the spring to bring this out to market, but then everything was cancelled because they were not allowed to have any events anymore. And likewise, we have the EG Retail, and that they are in the fashion industry, which is also quite badly hit by the not EG Retail itself, but their customers in fashion is sort of quite often struggling because of this whole situation. So it means that it's we had to look for cash registers which are in industries where there is almost business as usual, and one of those is Extenda Retail, and because they are strong in the FMCG, sort of fast moving consumer goods, sort of grocery stores. Yep. Because we still buy food in this country, probably even more right now. I know ICA, they have a great results because people eat at home instead of eating at restaurants, so ICA is selling more. So that integration we have done here in the Q3 as well, with one of their POS system called the RS POS, and now we have plug and play with their install base for that cash register, and that's exciting for us. But I really think we've been a bit unfortunate with delays and due to various things here for Blipit, but we're pleased that it's getting ready for prime time finally. And
do you have any updates on when you expect to see revenues in terms of periodic fees from usage of Blipit terminals in Sweden?
Yeah, right now we are doing then, as you see, pilots, and we're getting out, and with Extenda particularly, we are talking to fairly big sort of big retail chains that is using that. Nothing signed yet, but we're optimistic that something will fall out of that. And then we have Clearon as well, that are looking at rolling out their sort of Wave cash register, where we also see ourselves being a part of as well. So I think Q1 we will start to see this that we had hoped for, much earlier, but I think we also been hit in this area quite hard with the pandemic.
I see. Okay, on to the biggest theme, I guess, going on, and that's of course the developments in India, and especially in offline payments in India. You had some pretty big news earlier in the autumn that now you can handle pretty much any kind of mobile payment. Can you explain a little bit?
I think we made we made sort of substantial simplifications to our architecture, that we have sort of created a whole ecosystem for offline payments, where the customer is having a balance on their phone, and we have an elegant way of digitally signing that one using something quite similar as in the card infrastructure, that you digitally sign something, and then we can verify that in an offline mode at the merchant side. You just need a kind of electronic device, and then that is then sent up to what we call our offline rail. That ecosystem connects to any type of online settlement. So we can deal with the entire system on an offline basis, and then we connect to an online settlement rail. But that could be of various types. That could be the card infrastructure. That could be an instant payment system. That could be a single wallet, or it could be what is now being experimented here in Sweden, CDBC, central bank digital currency rails. E-krona projects. That's another type of rail. So whatever rail, whatever sort of payment network online is available, we can connect to that, which is creates a lot of scalability for our solution.
But if we talk about India in particular, when you refer to as the rail, I assume that is the joint settlement system that's governed by the UPI. Is that correct?
That's one rail. That's for instant payments in India. But I think what's exciting in India, and I think we touched on that in our last discussion 3 months ago, is that the Central Bank of India has come out with a circular saying that please experiment with offline payments because we need that in India. The central bank are basically telling the market that you should do that, and that has opened up the interest in this area quite considerably. NPCI, that is the provider of this instant payment rail, UPI, they are looking into it, as well as many other wallets, but also people on the card rail are looking into this as well for the Indian market, given that the Reserve Bank of India is sort of requesting it. They are saying, please offer the market that opportunity. And that has meant that our discussions in that market has sort of become easier. When I had 2 trips to India earlier this year, and we had the offline story as our main story at that point. And they thought it was interesting, and it was new and it was novel. But now 6 months later in August, the Reserve Bank came out with this circular and asking for it. And then all of a sudden, everybody is looking for this with priority. Their top management in these payment services in banks, they are assigning to a team in their organization, try to solve this. And we have a solution for it, which is sort of, before we had to convince them that they should solve this problem. Now I think this is sort of on the agenda. That is what has happened. And one of those rails are, as you say, the UPI rail. But it's not the only rail. It's card rails are there as well in India. And they want to expand in India. And one way to do that is to use our offline capability.
Yeah, I was just thinking, cards, to most of us, cards are a piece of plastic and they are offline by definition. But I guess in order to use them, you have to connect them to a terminal that is online. But now you're saying you can use cards even when there's no online terminal available. So how will this work?
Yeah, well, already there is actually a merger already happening between instant payment systems and card systems. Actually, again, happening in India. India is really a hot market for a lot of innovation. Google Pay in India has collaborated with Visa. So they have created a way where you as a Google Pay user, you are online and you can just scan a QR code on the merchant side, which is completely offline. It's just a sticker. And then you use the online connectivity of your phone as the payer. And but if you're using then paying by Visa, you are using the card rail for actually settling this system. Yeah. And then the merchant will get an SMS when it's paid back. So already we are seeing sort of rails even combining and working together here. Yeah. Essentially, I think the 2 main streams of payment today, card payments are, as you say, you're offline as a customer, you come with plastic, and then the merchant terminal is online. That is sort of that is typically how it works in a for card payments. For instant payment, it's the reverse. Everybody has scanned a QR code here in Sweden as well, and certainly that's big in India. And then it is the customer which is online, and they need that in order to authorize a payment. In Sweden, we use bank ID in order to do that authorization, and you need to be online to use that. Yep. So there it is the customer which is online for those systems. What we have created with our online solution is that we allow that neither is online. We are completely separating that step from the online settlement. But then what we do is that we allow either the customer or the merchant to upload for settlement that transaction. So we store it on both the customer phone, but the merchant also has a receipt of that payment, which could be sent up where if the merchant, when they get online, the merchant gets online connectivity in order to claim the money. The customer needs to also sometimes go online in order to reset their wallet and basically download more money on your phone so you can continue paying offline. You will run out of money. And at that point, you also reconcile and send up your transactions that you've done to date from the customer phone. That's how our system works. So we have a system where it's not either the merchant or the customer that sends up the transactions. Our vision is that both are doing it, but not at the time of the moment of payment. It's actually being delayed.
And the thing that opens this possibility is that on my phone, I have a sort of pre-authorized amount that I can spend when I'm offline, correct?
Yes, and you need to, and that's why we in July we announced that we have this partnership with Viki. So because if you have a balance there and it's not really in high security, people could jailbreak your phone and people could do all sorts of things and basically forge it and come up with their increase their balance. So that needs to be highly secure, and we need that secure element residing on your phone to manage these sensitive data.
This is fascinating, and the reason why the Central Bank of India feel such an urgency to get going with this is that there is quite a lot of online transactions that fail today. Is that correct?
Well, they can't even they in their circular they talk about internet connectivity being a problem. Certainly, if you go out to the more on the countryside in India, online connectivity is really a problem. But what's interesting right now in the COVID days is that India, they have about 80% of transactions in a store is using cash. In Sweden, we are Sweden and Norway. We are down to less than 10% now, and we are we're leading the world in being a cashless society. But in India, it's still 80%. But what is happening now in the COVID situation is a lot of more people are wanting to pay in a digital way, using then UPI particularly. So UPI are breaking records. They are up now to 2 billion transactions in a month. That's what they had in October. But it means also that it puts a lot of stress on the bank servers, because 2 billion transactions, that is simply a huge load of transactions in just a month. And the bank servers, they time out because they could decline a transaction even if you have internet connectivity, but the servers can't cope with the load itself. So what they have is they have a 20-second sort of time window. The bank needs to respond within 20 seconds, and if it doesn't, the transaction fails, is declined. And you can just imagine that with that load, many transactions maybe takes 10, 15 seconds. And that's a long time to just stand there and wait, instead of just having an instant response as we can deliver in our offline solution. But also quite a few fails. The major Bank of India, SBI, that's the State Bank of India, they reported in September 5.3% of failed transaction, and a lot of that had to do with overloaded bank servers. And what's interesting in India is right now they're introducing payments on WhatsApp, this very popular chat app. It's every Indian has that, so it's about 500 million Indian has that on his phone. So with the load of transactions expected with WhatsApp coming on board with payments, they think that this will go from 2 billion to 3, 4, 5 billion transactions quite quickly. And already today, the bank servers are struggling to cope. And the beauty with our offline solution is that you are sort of, again, engaging everybody, because everybody has a queuing system on their phone. You keep the transactions, and then you simply settle it when it's available to do that. In the time critical moment of payment, where you're standing there and you want to basically pay for your goods and services, you can commit that payment instantly, but you just settle it later. We simply differentiate between that time critical moment of payment and the subsequent online settlement, and that will sort of do a lot of load balancing for these overloaded bank servers, and also help with the internet connectivity problem of India.
I was just thinking that if the Indian central bank goes out and say that, come on guys, give us solutions for offline payments, they haven't been talking to you particularly. They must be addressing the market in general. So are there other competitors who are looking into this and that you feel are a threat?
Yeah, well, what in the circular says that they allow offline payments. That's what they're saying, and they allow it for banks and basically registered financial players. So you have to be a payment service unit, PSU, it says, or a bank are typically a PSU as well. If you are a technical provider like we are, then we could also participate in these pilots that they are announcing for, but we have to do it in collaboration with a registered PSU. That is what is needed. I would say that the comprehensive solution that we have, I don't think that anyone is at that level of a comprehensive solution that Crunchfish have in this market. And it's also patent pending. However, you could compromise a little bit on security. You can compromise a little bit on basically flexibility of a solution, and you can deliver some sort of simpler solution. That I think is possible to do, but the comprehensiveness of our solution, I think we are absolutely alone and unique with. But then you could, for maybe small transactions, do a little bit more of an insecure solution that might suffice if you put up some other rules around it. But that could happen, that other players could come with that. But I think all my dialogues for our type of solution is that they are, I hear everything from it's novel, it's brilliant, it's new, and never heard of this before. That sort of response we're getting for our approach here into the Indian market here.
That's great. I just want to remind everybody again that you can ask questions. If you move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, you see some icons, and you can find a chat window or a question window where you can write your question and we will read it out. Otherwise, I think we have covered a lot of ground, but I want to finally touch upon you have been called upon to host some seminars with politicians and governments in Sweden about a digital currency for Sweden as well. How do you see this work progressing? Cash goes digital, I know, is one of your catchphrases. So it seems that you are in a position to play a big role in this. How do you see this going forward?
Well, there is. It is exciting that our central bank has realized what is going on here. That cash is disappearing, and they have actually asked our parliament in Sweden that what should the role of the state be in a digital payment market? Right now, they do. They have a system for settlement. They are sort of the actual root settlement system in Sweden. They've always had that, and they will continue doing that. And that's developing. They will also. It's for batch today, but it will be an instant settlement system, and we learn a lot about that in these webinars. But the other role that the state has is that they actually issue cash. But cash in a market like Sweden, where we live in Ericsson land, where IT infrastructure is sort of excellent, that has driven that drives us to use digital payment means very frequently. So people stop wearing cash because it works so well with digital means of payments. But what the central bank, I think, realizes as well is that creates a system or a country which is vulnerable, because if something in this ecosystem for digital payments goes down, and that could be our electronic identification, BankID, it could be a bank server, it could be say Swish or a card server, or even the telecom network itself, whatever would go down, all of a sudden we can't pay in this country. And the central bank has that perspective of securing a safe payment system. And the function of cash being something that you always works, guaranteed to always work, even if the online system doesn't work, they need to replicate that. And this is why I think an offline solution comes into play. And we're talking to Accenture as well. That is the ones that are doing this pilot project for Sweden. They won that in February this year, and they have a 1-year contract on that. And but we also now, I think, are exposed to, I think the central bank knows about us, that we actually have something which is an important piece of the puzzle here, because that, I think, is the key thing to solve when cash is disappearing. How do you guarantee that it always works?
But this is a long-term thing. This is not something that's going to be implemented next year.
Well, the pilot is going on, and I don't know if you saw that the deputy sort of director of central bank projects that cash is gone by 2023. So they better, I think, start finding that solution quite soon. And they are sort of experimenting with it. But what's important, and that's why this webinar series came up, is that they need to ask basically the parliament to give guidance of you as politicians, what role should we have? Because there is a mandate for what the central bank in Sweden should do, and they need some new regulations from the parliament of what their role should be, and I think we opened up for that discussion. The third webinar, we had 3 politicians all sitting in the finance committee in the parliament and discussing pros and cons and what's important in terms of offering or dealing with the situation where cash is disappearing in our society.
This is fascinating. All right, I think we have come to the end of my questions. I can't see that anybody else has posed a question, so I think maybe we should try to wrap it up. Thanks very much, Joachim. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Ralph. Thanks for hosting this again. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.